So it appears that, I don't know, maybe we're seeing this over here manifest in the United States. And so the Trinity Aragua there, he's over there doing some, let's say, doing some plumbing for the missus, and doing a little plumbing for the daughter. I mean, this sounds like a low-budget porno. And this was Judge Joel Köhne, who was fully aware of all of this happening, put the gang member in contact with firearms, semi-automatic rifles that were his daughter's, that she was buying and then just giving to or allowing the Trinity Aragua. So these are, you really have to walk away from this awareness with, it's not just like a, wow. It's not just a, boy, those Democrat judges. It's not just, this is the nodes of power. These are the people sitting in the nodes of power. So what does that do for the arguments about, well, let's just craven off somewhere and hide in some town? It'll be fair to leave us alone. When you're living at, like Orania, at the mercy of South Africa, how long was that going to last? So what does it do for that argument? What does it do for the arguments about, well, they get to break the law, we should be able to break the law? What does it do for that argument? These, Köhne, that's the judge you're going to sit before. Collar Cottley, that's the judge you're going to sit before. Hannah Dugan, that's the judge you are going to sit before. How about the whole spectrum of arguments of, well, let's just make an appeal to them that we don't get along, do we? You really hate us, so let's just agree to disagree and we will go our separate ways. Do you think Joel, the Köhne, who brings a violent terrorist gang thug into the house to lay pipe with the females in the house, to arm, who's got photographs of murdered, decapitated people? Just by the by, the exact same kind of behavior that white people encountered when we showed up, perhaps again, in the Americas, wasn't it? What did we discover when we came upon these people? When we showed up, what were they doing? Oh, they were cutting the ever-living heads off of everyone, rolling them down the temples, cutting the hearts and guts out of people, tattooing all over their faces and bodies. Shit hadn't changed. Shit ain't changed. Shit ain't changed at all. We're talking about biospirit. It's the instinct of an animal. So these people were cutting heads off, tattooing their entire bodies, ruthless, bloodthirsty maniacs. Of course, not all of them. Many of them were wonderful people. And, you know, all they wanted to do was be left alone and sit under palm trees and pet the jaguars. And because who wouldn't want to pet a jaguar? So that's what they were just doing. But some of them were ruthless and tattooed, and they were rolling heads down temples. And we find that there's one in the house of the judge who's going to decide your fate, of the judge who's going to decide the interpretation of the law relative to your business, your town, you need to keep these things in mind. So understand today the nodes of power. We're going to keep moving with this.
The judge's property in New Mexico. Köhne then resigned as a magistrate judge in March. And earlier this week, though, the Supreme Court of New Mexico permanently banned him from ever serving as a judge again. ICE investigators claim Ortega Lopez has Trinidad Aragua related tattoos, social media posts, and clothing, and used a search warrant to discover voicemails and text messages related to alleged gang activity. Social media pictures show Ortega Lopez posing for photos with the Köhne family and posing with weapons that Ortega Lopez claimed belonged to the judge's daughter. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem responding to the arrest with this, quote, under President Trump, we have arrested over 150,000 aliens, including
Wait, where's my bag?
More than 600 members of the vicious Tren de Aragua gang. If you are here illegally and break the law, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and lock you up. That's a promise.
Well, not Kristi, because she can't even hold on to her purse.
Ortega Lopez illegally entered the U.S. in 2023. He is currently facing federal charges for being an illegal alien in possession of a firearm, which is punishable by up to 15 years. Guys.
Thank you, Chandler.
Don't want to pay for him to live for 15 years. Execution. We need to change the law. Execution. That's what needs to be the law. Video shows moments that feds arrest Judge Joel Köhne and wife for allegedly sheltering Tren de Aragua. You got pretty much the whole story there already. There's the guy who would have been in the black robes and would have ordered you to be carted off for your life. For your life. You can't go around talking about things that this guy, encouraging things, that this guy and all the others that will not be outed would send you away for life for. There she is. All she wanted to do was get some strange. Come on. That's all. Now it's all gone downhill. Hypocrite. That's what the cucks are saying right now all over the social medias. Hypocrites. The Dems are hypocrites. We'll be talking about that.
But first, a Wisconsin judge under arrest and facing charges accused of flouting federal law to help an illegal immigrant. Federal prosecutors say Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan allegedly helped that migrant avoid arrest by ICE officers at the courthouse.
Now, what did I tell you all about during COVID? So years ago, as it unfolded, and we had been talking about how many nodes of power that anti-whites hold, and therefore why so many of the traditional methods of recourse and et cetera and redress are roadblocked now. They're no longer accessible, and they haven't been accessible. And we didn't have a way to gauge exactly how many nodes of power were held by anti-whites really until COVID. We could guesstimate, we could surmise, we could conjecture a great percentage, certainly more than 50%, 75%. COVID revealed to us it's like 90+% of nodes of power in the West are held by people that are anti-white, people of all races that are anti-white, all religions that are anti-white. So we got to see that. Now you have Trump come into office, and Trump is an anomaly. He is this anomalous entity that is a creation of anti-white Democrats who tried to destroy him and his family in every conceivable way. And he's finally been driven a little bit further, not a lot further, but a little bit further from his complacent businessman, art of the deal mindset. A little bit further than that. And so a couple of judges are now being arrested as a consequence. The executive, not systemic. What they're talking about doing and the hero hoping, wish listing is not a systemic remedy. And that's where we're getting into. How do we remedy all of this? How do we build resistance to the West's issue, which is anti-whiteism? Anti-whiteism is systemic. You need a systemic remedy for it, not an executive, not somebody to come in at the very top and begin saying, okay, that one there, that one there. But what you're seeing here, I'm playing for you judge after judge, not just like a police chief over in this town over here, or an officer over there, or a city council member over here in this little county, or these are the black robed maggots of anti-whiteism, and they are all over the country, and with deep hubris and disdain and contempt for you, they sit in fetid judgment of the white race every time we go before them, and in particular white males. Do you think Colleen Cotterly? Do you think Köhne? Do you think Dugan? Do you think the tens of thousands of others who think just like them, anti-whites, are not considering anti-whiteism when you are there for your traffic ticket, when you are there for the problem you have with your wife or girlfriend, when you are there for the auto accident, when you are there for the B2B disagreement, when you are there, every single one of them? Do you see how absolutely infantile it is to approach this multifarious phenomenon of anti-whiteism and its suffusion into every aspect of our lives, from the dinner table to the judge's bench to the general's office? Do you see how absolutely infantile it is to turn and look in the rearview mirror at the things that have already been defeated, like a return to religion, like a return to a Jew hatred or anti-non-white sentiment and arguments, like a return to political parties, like a return to whatever? I mean, you cannot even begin to conceive. This is giving you, just these past couple of days, is giving you a tiny blink of insight into how utterly pervasive and totally corrupting this is. The putrefaction of the West on display. The maggots crawling out. And you know what they say? The cucks out there are saying, well, he's taking down these judges, so that's it, that's good. The rest of them will get the message. They'll all become good conservatives. They won't be activist judges anymore. No, they'll become good conservatives now. They'll be just like us now. No. These that are popping their heads up with their arrogance and with their hubris and advocating anti-whiteism, applying anti-whiteism to the world, first 2 years, they can't even keep their mouths shut. They're the dumb ones. They're the dumb ones. The rest, in their tens of thousands, are going to slowly lower their heads, and they're going to keep plugging away with their anti-white ideology, not trying to get any attention not trying to draw any attention on themselves, as discreet as they can be, still being anti-white every day. And if you interact with them, if you have the misfortune of being judged by these anti-white devils, they'll be anti-white to you. Nothing will change there. They'll ruin your life. They'll shut down any movement of the traditional, stereotypical types of the past. They'll shut them right down if it comes before them. Then, as soon as the pressure's off, well, they'll just come right back up. Like a bunch of eating prairie dogs, popping their heads up. Time to come back out. No treatment to the systemic infection of anti-whiteism by way of an irate executive. I can't believe that I have to say this. And I can't believe that I got to say it to under 200 people. But I got to say it again and again and again. So, Hannah Dugan literally in contravention of the law of the country, tells the federal law offices, go to hell, go sit over there. She takes the anti-white, non-white into her own office, and a secret back door she opens for him to escape. Secret back door. She just is like, this way you can now escape into the jungle where the feds can't get you. What do you think she would do to you? What do you think? How do you think she would interpret any situation that involves a white man?
It's a bizarre case and it's still unfolding. Hello, I'm John Roberts in Washington. Sandra, good to see you back again.
All right. Good to be back with you as well, John. I'm Sandra Smith in New York, and this is America Reports. So today's arrest of a judge marks the second such case in the last 24 hours. A former New Mexico judge and his wife were taken into custody yesterday. Federal agents arresting them for harboring a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member in their guest house.
For more on all of this, we are honored to have in the new U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi. It's good to talk to you, Pam.
Good to talk to you.
So let me read a little bit from the criminal complaint here.
Yeah, the AG, Pam Bondi, of course. We should see if this were, I think probably what most of us would, at a minimum, would like to see is hundreds and hundreds of arrests. And they've got like 2. And this is the woman who is the one ordering the minimal here number of arrests.
And Judge Dugan says, despite having been advised of the administrative warrant for the arrest of Flores Ruiz, Judge Dugan then escorted Flores Ruiz and his counsel out of the courtroom through the jury door, which
she literally was like, come with me. At Tree Godfather, you know, they're sticking the white guys hard. Absolutely. You know, this Hannah Dugan, this disgusting anti-white cur that's going to throw her arm around. By the way, I don't know if they're going to mention it here. We're going to keep things moving. But this guy that was there was in there because he like beat the hell out of some woman. And maybe they do. I hope they say it. Or maybe it's in an article if I have it here. And normally these other Hispanics, they don't participate in the court system, or they participate less often than say like you or I would, because we are stupid. But they're worried about the gangs and etc. coming after them if they participate against a fellow mestizo. So they don't show up. But in this case, this family actually showed up to court. And this is what Dugan, this white anti-white pig, was aware of when it came to him, and she still rescued him from the just law of the land. Why? Because that law indirectly is going to benefit white people. And here we're rolling up to the hypocrisy that we'll talk about in a moment.
Leads to a non-public area of the courthouse. A foot chase ensued. The agents pursued Flores Ruiz for the entire length of the courthouse. I
would have run by, you know, this I have like this comedy skit running through my head, like Naked Gun style comedy. And like the judge is standing at the door at the sidewalk and she's like, run. And his like fat ass is wobbling down the street. And like 2 cops go running by the judge in their pursuit, like in their full uniform. And then here comes Leslie Nielsen and he's like, pow! And he just knocks the judge right out as he goes running behind the officers.
And ultimately apprehended him. According to this complaint, Judge Dugan was visibly angry that ICE was there to arrest Flores Ruiz, even tried to kick the deportation agents out of the courthouse.
Yeah, and to set the stage for you and Sandra, this was truly horrific. This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up 2 people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John.
Okay, he beat up domestic violence, a guy and a woman so bad that they had to go to the hospital. hits the guy 30 times or something like this. And this awful demonic beast in a black robe who is interpreting all of the cases relative to white guys. And you're going to fix this with a political party. You're going to fix this by going to church. You're going to fix it. Good Lord. Wow.
You know, it's so.
I got to tell you, though, with these so few arrests and Pam Bondi revealing such little information, especially on Epstein. Hey, did somebody just kill themselves? That said they would never kill themselves, especially Epstein, Kennedy, both Kennedys, etc. So many things that we could know and should know about. What about the assassins for Donald Trump? I mean, where's all this information? Why is everybody forgetting it? And as I hear and see how little she's actually producing, I am really forcefully aware of the fact that she was hired because she's a good-looking woman.
So rare for victims to want to cooperate. They want.
Look at this beast over here. Look at this absolute beast. Look at this anti-white she-beast. Ugly, old, bitter, misandristic, anti-white.
To cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged.
He had been deported already. It obviously should be law of the land that if you're deported and you return, it's execution upon reentry. If we had white leadership concerned with our well-being, that's what it would be.
With committing these crimes. Victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave. While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Wow. So, and you can see exactly where Pam Bondi is going with that argument. The real victims are the Hispanic people. And why do you get to a place like that? Because we have a systemic problem and ideology of anti-whiteism. And if you don't address the ideology of anti-whiteism, you can't do anything. And that's why we address the ideology of anti-whiteism here. That's why, since we address it successfully, we have colossal victories. Your average person, the person who's going to be in the position of AG, even when your dream guy, your dream executive, Donald Trump, is in office, and not only is he your dream guy for all of the aforeknown reasons, but he's driven to extremes. So this makes it even more extraordinary. And this is what he gives you. Pam Bondi, who is clearly setting up an argument that the real victims here are the Hispanic people who suffered the domestic abuse, not the white race. Would never mention the white race. What is that objective? Anti-whiteism. If you continue to ignore anti-whiteism, and that being the objective, you can never get to a remedy. You are not going to be able to end the victimization of the white race obliquely. You're not going to be able to end it by propping up, as I talked about before, like having a shield over here that you use to defend abstractions behind the shield. That you put this shield up. These arguments you craft is the shield that you put up. These are your arguments. And these are also the politicians that you elect to stand for these positions. And behind this, what you are protecting are abstractions. Or the abstractions are things like logical consistency, fairness. You put all that up there and you put this big, beautiful shield right here, and the anti-whites are punching you in the fucking face over here, you idiots. They're blowing your head off over here. They're making Swiss cheese out of us. Our ass whistles when the wind blows because we have so many holes in us from the spears and the knives in our heart, a la Austin Metcalf, and the bullets fired through us. And meanwhile, or Steve Turley's and the rest, I'm sorry, Steve, I guess it is, they're all over here defending this shield. They're all over here making these arguments to protect the abstractions behind them over here in the vain, totally futile hope that you're going to end up. Actually, it could be both John Turley from Fox and Steve on the internet. So they both work. But you're over here as the white race getting eviscerated. The reason? Cowardice. The anti-whites achieve both objectives by arguing that Trump should be subject to whatever they want to do to him because he gets in the way of anti-whiteism to whatever degree. He impedes them to their objective, whether wanting to or not. These judges enable them to get to anti-white outcomes. By arresting them, you are impeding anti-whiteism. You are impeding anti-whites from achieving anti-white outcomes. It is logically consistent. It only appears hypocritical to people with their heads in their asses, to low IQ vegetables. Those are the only people this appears hypocritical to. We here in the elect can see the truth. We here in the elect can see the world for what it actually is. And you say, Jason, that's only 3 judges. There's so many judges. That's only 3. You think you're making your point? Judge threatens to close court and start raising bail money for defendants after feds arrest Judge Hannah Dugan for allegedly helping illegal migrant avoid ICE. Look at this. So the West isn't rotted full with a systemic disease called anti-whiteism. Keep turning away from me and the House of Swash and the work that we do here. And you all, you're going to wish for death in the end. You'll wish for death for your loved ones, for the world that's coming, for all of us in the West. Yesterday, Judge Hannah Dugan of Milwaukee Court stood on her oath in the very building she swore to uphold it and was arrested. Monica Isham, a circuit judge for Sawyer County, defended Judge Hannah, claiming in an email to the other state judges that she has no intention of allowing anyone to be taken out of her courtroom by anyone and sent to a concentration camp. Take a look at another one who will be sitting in judgment of white males, white families, white females. Take a good look at that one. Do you think her shoulders are really that wide, or do they really in their Judge Maggot costumes dress like that wherever she's a judge? We have been too far gone in the West to respond or to have recourse to all of these old vehicles that have been defeated for generations. We've already been too far gone. I mean, this Monica judge is really demonstrating that she's one of the lesser intelligent judges since she's speaking out publicly, not communicating these thoughts to her fellow judges in some more furtive of a way. Also note that she's having a conversation with other judges, with other people in nodes of power. This is how you're going. These are the people that are going to judge you. This is what you're going to run up against without a Donald Trump to come protect you, because he doesn't give a shit about you. This is what this is going to be the final. Doesn't she look a little young? I mean, honestly, in a Western country, isn't she a little non-white to be a judge? To be sitting in judgment of Americans who have America instinctually inside of them? People have no idea what they're up against. That's why they come up with all these dumbass suggestions about how we're going to reclaim our destiny. Well, it's not even that. They're not even talking about reclaiming our destiny. They either want like a cutout over here, or let's separate the different groups of humanity. Really? That's who you're going to make your appeal to. Those kind of people. That's who you are appealing to. Open your eyes. Concentration camp used intentionally because it brings up anti-white connotations. Precisely, says the Tree Godfather. This is their narrative. And why, by the way, just by the by, why concentration? Why would this woman bring up concentration camp of all things? Because is your focus in the right place? Is your focus? This is going to be one of those moments where we find out whether you are retarded by the literal definition of this word, or whether or not you are evolving. Brings up concentration camp because the white people are the demons that inflicted injury on non-white people. That's why. And that's where we are when it comes to seeking appeals for redress, when it comes to, hey, let's just sue them back. How many more dumb times, and I'll just say times rather than dumb people, do I have to hear people say, let's go to the courts. Let's go to the courts. We'll just take it. It's right there in black and white. What, by God, it's in black and white. They can't find a conclusion that's different. It's, by God, it's in black and white. The black and white that matters is the anti-white narrative. And that black and white overrides what it says on the law books. So no, we never want to end up in court.